So are we live? It shows that we are live. Okay, so hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Build Skills with Rahul. If I'm calculating it right, then this is episode number 12. Honestly, when I started, I never thought that I would do 12 streams, on a streak without any break or something, because usually not like I hadn't done it before, so I wasn't very sure how I'm going to do this. But watching this number, 12 episodes means roughly around 3 months. So I'm pretty glad we've come, so far, and I'm really excited about the journey, till now and also from here on. And thanks a lot, everyone, for your, love and support. It wouldn't have been possible, without your support. You guys come to watch, every stream, like the stream, help spread the word, and that really means a lot. So, so yeah, thanks a lot of all of thanks a lot for all of that, and hello to everyone. For those who have joined, if you would just like to, drop a hi, just feel free to do so in the chat section, and so that I'll be aware that you guys are around, and if I were to chat to somebody specific, I would do directly just pick up the name and do that. I'm pretty sure Shubham and Startup Sanatan are somewhere out there. So if there are others also, other people are also watching it right now, just let me know in the chat section, and I'll be happy to chat with you. Yeah, the topic for today is actually a pretty special one because at Dabble Labs, as the kind of communication I've had with Steve, this has been, this particular skill has been the most downloaded skill from Dabble Labs, and it's also one of our most watched videos. The most number of queries that we get is also regarding these. So yeah, I really feel that this skill is really special because of a lot of reasons. Hey Shubham, how are you? Yeah, I'm pretty good, man. You tell me, how are you? I hope you are doing good. Because I don't know where you are from. So I'm from Gurgaon near Delhi. It's actually, the weather is now changing here very drastically. It's like quite hot in the day, and pretty cool in the night. So I'm kind of enjoying that. I actually like coastal weather more, but yeah, it's not extreme winters or extreme summers right now. So I really like the transitioning weather, and that's the reason I'm happy these days, you can say, because I don't really like the extreme winters or extreme summers. They're just too much, especially in a place like Delhi. So yeah, I was talking about the skill that we are going to be building today, and as I was telling you that it's an audio player skill. So basically, it's a radio streaming skill using which you'll be able to stream from a particular URL, or using a music file. If your aim is just to play a single music file, you know you can do that with ease using our templates. And actually that's been a use case for a lot of people, and people have built some really great skills based on just this simple use case. So before we even begin, I would just like to take you through some skills which are built around uh, this template. They're not exactly built using this template, but yeah, the method is the same. Like, if you were to use this template, you can build similar skills. That's the whole aim. I actually have a very good example of it. I'll just open up the default Amazon India Alexa skills page, and here we have it. So if you were to go to the music section here somewhere, yeah, not the music section, actually the devotion section. So if you see, there is a section called devotion and spirituality. I'll just zoom in for better viewing angles. I think now it's the page is quite visible. So as you can see here, there are a lot of skills related to devotion, and it is one of the categories which is doing very well in India. So here's Ramayan Katha here and Hanuman Chalisa here. So if you just have a look at this skill, Hanuman Chalisa, and go into it and read the description and what this skill does, so you'll see it's simply just a devotional hymn. Basically, it's nothing but one audio file being played over and over. So one audio file just playing in loop. So that's all this skill is. But you can see there are 52 reviews. It comes on the homepage of Amazon, and it's liked by people and used by them a lot. Similarly, there was this like there's Hanuman Chalisa, there's Gayatri Mantra. There are a lot of such devotional skills which are actually doing pretty well, and they are very simple. I'm telling you, like when you have a look at the code, you'll understand why I'm saying this, because this is like when I started Alexa skill development. This was one of the first skills, you can say one of the first complex skills that I thought I would build. But when I just completed building it, I understood that it is not as complex as we think it to be, because the documentation and everything, it's very well planned. So it really helps you to understand what you need and what you don't. So I'll show you exactly what all things I'm talking about. But yeah, so just to give you some idea, if you were to build something using this template, so these are the some use cases that you can build upon. Just pick up any audio file or any uh, music file that you want to build the skill upon, and use this template to build it. I was personally planning to build a skill called Gadiwala, because in during the lockdown, there was this song called Gadiwala Aya Ghar Se Kachra Nikal. It's a Hindi song, which was uh, which is rolled out by one of the governments. It's a government initiative for people to be more aware about throwing garbage and disposing of garbage in a proper way. So that's what the whole song is about. But it was damn funny, and people used to enjoy that song a lot in some YouTuber communities. So I thought, yeah, why not just build an Alexa skill out of it? But I just saw that when I completed building that skill, so I just saw that they officially came onto Spotify, and now if you ask for that particular song, then just it gets played from Spotify. So yeah, that idea didn't work out, but surely if you have something in mind, then who knows? And I know people have been earning developer rewards as well for such skills. So just if you have such an idea, just go for it, because you never know what might click. So all right, let me just show you the GitHub code that we'll be using today. It's this one. It's template number 3, Python audio, Alexa audio streaming example skill. And I actually built this template long back in December. I didn't do a stream on it because I was planning that I would do a lot of audio streams together. A lot of skills which involve APL for audio and audio streaming and all of that. But in the last stream, since we did the video streaming skill, I thought this would also be a good transition point where I use because we are on the same lines. We've built the video streaming skill, which is a very good use case for sure. But I think the more prominent use case is the audio player skill, because it's, as I told you, it's the most widely used template of ours. So yeah, let's get straight into it. I'll go back to the developer console. I hope the size and everything is good enough. If you need any improvement, just let me know. So I'll click on create skill and start with the skill development. I have a few things in mind that I'll keep sharing with you guys as we go on. And we have a very special demo lined up for this particular example, because if you don't know, the audio streaming skills or audio skills in particular, they don't run on the simulator. So I've done a kind of a jugaad arrangement. Let's see how that one goes. So I'll just name this skill template 3, because that's anyway what the name of our template is. I'll select English US. I selected Alexa hosted Python. So far so good. I haven't seen any errors yet. I am actually expecting them, because now, as I told in the last stream, now it has actually become a ritual, and I expect errors every now and then. So let's see how long can we go into the stream today without getting some kind of a error or a roadblock somewhere. So yeah, this is the template that we are going to be using. You can just head on to github.com/dabblelab. The link is in our description, and you can also find the link for this particular repo in our description. Just go there, copy this link, and come back to this page, paste this link here, and click on the import button. Once you do that, it will take roughly around 2 to 3 minutes to complete, and once that's done, our entire skill will be deployed. Post that, I'll show you both the interaction model and the code, and I'll show you what's different and how do all of these things exactly work. But if you meanwhile, like in the time when it's deploying, if you have any ideas which you are thinking about around building around an audio streaming skill, then do let me know, because if there is any advice that I were to give you, I would definitely do that. And if you are already building skills, like I am pretty sure you're not just dependent on my streams. So if you're already building something, if you've built audio skills before, if you have any questions in mind regarding that, then just feel free to post those questions as well, and I'll be happy to answer if I have gone through those kind of things before. So yeah, let's I think it's about to be completed. What is the size or limit for the audio file? Shivam, that's a very good question. I believe there is no limit, and just don't take my word on it when I say there is no limit, because I'm pretty sure there would be some or the other, upper limit would always be there. But in my testing, the kind of testing I've done, I've used pretty large files, and I've done because if you improve the quality, then the quality of the size of the files increases. So I've used quite a lot of different sizes, but for me it has worked well. The only thing I can tell you is that at times I've faced issues, the kind of issues I've faced when the file size was too large. And when I say too large, you can say it was somewhere around 500 MB and above. So when we talk about file sizes, those that large, then two major problems arise. The first one is that there is a lot of cost which is involved for the streaming, because when you use a large file, then the data which is being transferred to and from our function or from our S3 bucket is pretty huge, and because of that the cost really goes up high. So that's the reason I haven't used much larger files. We've done a lot of chunking and reducing the file size just to reduce the cost factor. And also I believe the having the large size actually increases the load time. So a lot of stuff, like for the audio stuff, you really need it to just load very quickly. So when we were using a very large file for a customer, we faced some kind of issues. I don't remember if it was specifically just for audio or it was a video skill, but I do remember, like, just because of the file size, we faced a lot of issues. So yeah, I would say somewhere around 100, 200, 300 MB. I think that should work fine. It shouldn't be an issue. But make sure that it's not a skill which is very widely used, and you're not using S3, or you're not exceeding the free tier, because if you do that, then it costs really high. I have a customer which who uses these skills quite a lot, these kind of audio streaming skills, and so he had this issue, like he was getting some huge amount of bills for his skills, and then we did some tweaks and made some changes to reduce the cost. That can always be done, but just make sure of that when you're starting out. Also, if you are if you're concerned about the pricing, in any time in the future, if you come across a case where the pricing is on the upper side and you're thinking of doing something about it, then just go for any file server where you can host the file and get a public URL for it, and just use it. Don't host it on S3 or something, because that would definitely cost you high. Host it on some other server which gives you a URL to use it. All right, enough talking about it. Now that the interaction model and the skill is deployed, let's have a look at it one by one. Before the interaction model, let's go to the interfaces and see what's different in this interface. So last time we saw that we used the Alexa presentation language. So we toggled this option from here and enabled this. But this time we would be using the audio player interface. So we've just toggled it on. If you are using the Dabble Lab template, then you don't need to do that. But if you're building an audio player skill of your own, then make sure when you build a new skill, you just come to the interfaces section and toggle this button, because it's important. And I'll tell you why it's important and how does this play an important role. Okay, moving on, we'll move to the just have a look at the intent section. So we do have a lot of intents here, and the reason for that is that when you enable the audio player interface, once you do that, you get a lot of required or built-in options which are necessary or which are required. You can't make a skill without them. So you all must be familiar with these: Amazon.navigate, home, and stop and cancel. These are the default ones. But when you enable the audio player template, then you have to handle the Amazon.pause intent, the resume intent, loop on, next, loop off, previous, repeat. Actually, not repeat, I think. But yeah, shuffle on, shuffle off. So these are all the intents that you're required to handle if you're building any sort of audio player skill, and this is kind of a mandate. So yeah, these are our basic intents that we have over here. Let's jump straight into the code. Sorry about that. And if we go into the code, so I'll actually quickly just run a small test to get started, because that is how it'll enable the test on my device as well. So okay, so just an FYI here, if you are also building skills using the Alexa hosted console and you're getting this kind of an error, wherein you see that it says error completing your request or something and asks you to sign out, so please just sign out, because a lot of people had been facing this issue, including Sohini, who is a member of Dabble Labs, and she streams every Friday and built templates using Node.js. So she was doing her live stream and she faced this issue where she wasn't able to run the test console. So yeah, if you are facing any such issues, then make sure that you simply sign out and sign in again. That would resolve the issue. Otherwise your test console would just be stuck at one point. It would just keep on loading and show you nothing at all. So we'll switch from off to development, and I'll simply say open template 3.
Starting Dabble Radio.
So if you heard that, Alexa said starting Dabble Radio, but didn't really do anything. And if you see here, we got a message which says unsupported directive and says audio player directive is not supported, blah blah blah. So here arises our first error, because what I was trying to show you was that it ideally should give us a message that the simulator does not support audio playback or something. But let me actually see why it didn't. Okay, I got the reason why it didn't show that. But anyways, I guess it would work fine on some other device which does not support an audio player. Okay, Shubham says can see some frame drops. Shubham, I think that must be because of me changing my tabs. Okay, I'll try and just take a small pause when I change the tab, so that if there are any frame drops, it doesn't cause an issue. Okay, I'll just check the stream health. I think it keeps showing me actually that the frame rate is a little bad or something, but we'll just move on. If the problem, okay, you say it's gone now. If it arises anywhere in the future, just let me know. And now let me come back to the code, and today we'll be doing things a bit different way. I won't be showing you straight off, the whole demo of it before. I'll first take you through the code and in the end give you the demo, because as I told you, this skill doesn't run on the simulator, and we'll have to use an actual Alexa device in order to run it. So let's have a look at the code. Now, first off, let me see if there is any, okay, there is no such, specific requirement to import a file or something. If you're building a audio play template, then I have attached two resource links in the description. Make sure you go through those resource links, because that would give you, a very good idea about how an audio player is to be built and all of that. And it would also, if you want to go and see where I have picked all of these functions from, and if you're building something which is not included in this skill and you want to know about these functions, then please go through that documentation, and you'll find use for several different functions that we have used and that we've not used here, both the mix of both of those things. Okay, so nothing special over here at the top, just some regular random stuff in the top 3 lines, just importing the skill builder, the request handler and all of that stuff. The real difference arises over here, where we import stuff from the audio player interface, and the functions that we are importing is the play directive, the play behavior, audio item, stream, audio metadata, stop directive, clear queue directive, clear behavior. As you can see, we are importing a lot of things here. We won't be using them all, but I'll keep telling you which ones are we using. So just for your knowledge, so all of these just come from the same, what do you say? I don't know what's exactly, from the same class or whatever. Yeah, it comes from there. So moving on, I have added special instructions for people, who might not be watching this video and who might just find my template through the GitHub repo. And for them, these are just simple instructions as to what they really need to do once they have deployed the skill. So let's go one by one with the steps. So the first step is replace the current URL with your stream URL. Make sure it has a valid SSL certificate and starts with HTTPS and not HTTP. So here I'm talking about the URL that I have given here. So if you just scroll down below, you will see that this is a list, and this is a list of streams, that audio streams that we have over here. So you can say this is sort of a playlist, but this playlist only contains one item as of now, because in this example I'm just using one audio stream and I am not including functions like next or previous and all of that. So if I were doing that, then I would ideally have more than one component, object inside it. But right now this particular example just has, runs for one stream item, so we don't really need that. So this is the URL for the audio file. You can use any kind of a URL. As I told you before, you can host it on S3, you can host it on a public server, as long as you have a valid SSL certificate, which means you have a URL which starts with HTTPS, it should work. If your URL only has HTTP and is not secure, does not have the SSL certificate, then it would not work. It happens with a lot of people, and it's difficult to troubleshoot it at times and to understand what's exactly wrong with the skill code. So if you face any similar issue, then just make sure you're using the HTTPS URL. Apart from the URL, we need some other things, like an important thing is the token. So if you have a playlist, again, this is a single stream, but if you have a playlist, then you need to have some kind of an ordering, right? You'll have a unique identification token for each of the objects or the stream objects, right? So if for say song number one would the token can be 1 2, just it's not necessary that it should be numeric. It's a string, so it can be anything. It can also be this entire URL itself, but it has to be unique, because in order to go to the previous stream or to the next stream, you need to identify which stream to go to and how exactly do you locate that. So I think the token is the unique identifier in this case. We have the URL, and then we have the metadata. Metadata is all the other stuff apart from the URL. Like you have the name of the stream, you have an album art for it, you have a background image for it, and all of that, right? So I'll show you how all of that looks in just a short while. So first of all, there is a title of like if you currently what we are building today is a radio skill. So for example, you must all of us have heard radio, right? So a radio is a stream is a continuous stream. So it doesn't pause or stop anywhere, right? It just keeps on going. So that's the idea that I'll be displaying today. So for that matter, there are separate shows that go on in a radio, but the major thing is that the name of the radio station just remains the same, and it's majorly known by that. So the title is simply Dabble Radio. In this case, it can be just the name of the radio station. That's what I'm trying to say. Otherwise, if you were building this for a podcast skill or something else, then you can change the title to be the title of the current episode playing and all of that. But for a radio skill, I would just recommend just give the title as the name of the radio. Similarly, for the subtitle, if you have a tagline for your radio channel or whatever, or in this case, like I actually like it this way, that the title should be the name of the radio station and the subtitle should be the name of the show which is currently playing, right? If you can like do it in that way and dynamically change the subtitle, so that would be pretty cool, and the best way to do so. But till the time you don't figure that out, just use a generic tagline of the radio channel. Next, let's come to the art. So when we come to art, there are two kinds of arts. The first one is the album art, which is this particular object over here. And in the album art, you just need to this description really doesn't matter. You can write anything over here. It's not shown anywhere. The URL is the URL for a PNG file, and this PNG file displays the album art in the correct size, which is 512 by 512 pixels. So if I just open this up, you can see that this is the logo that I'll be using for album art. And similarly, I have down below over here, I have a background image. So what happens is when you're using a screen-based device, then the album art just is comes at the top, and the whole background is just it's used as a gradient or a blurred variable, a blurred image of the image that we provide. So just gives a very good look and feel to the audio player. You can also choose to, so yeah, this is the background image that we are using. And just remember, the background image won't be shown as it is. There would be a layer which would which would add a specific color tone to make the background look better, and you'll see it in the demo when we show it. And the size for the background banner is 1200 cross 800 pixels. And yeah, if you don't want to give all of this metadata, basically if you don't want to give the title, subtitle, album art or background image, it's fine. The only necessary thing out of all of this is just the URL, because that's really required to play the stream. If you don't provide a URL, how would you actually play something? So apart from the URL, all of this other stuff can be ignored. If you want to just delete all of this stuff out, feel free to do so and make changes to the code accordingly, because this is not really a necessity. This is just to make the audio player work better, look better, have a good, great look and feel, and that sort of a thing, but not really a requirement. Okay. Now, coming to this part. So this is the part which I was telling you in the beginning, which is the check audio player interface. So I'll tell you what happens is that if you if you go to the interfaces section and if you disable this audio player option, then what you won't get is you see in our request over here inside system device, I'm getting this supported interfaces as audio player. You won't get this supported interfaces as audio, you won't get this audio player variable over here if you would have not enabled that option. So enabling that option actually lets us have this this variable here, and then we can check as we are doing here inside request envelope, context, system, device, supported interfaces, audio player. We are trying to find that out, and if we find it, then we say okay, the device supports an audio player interface, and if it doesn't, then then it says that the device does not support an audio player interface. Ideally, I don't remember why I have still left this code. I thought it should give a message in the simulator as well, wherein it should say that this is not supported. But I guess the simulator works in some different manner, wherein it shows that the audio player device is the audio player interface is supported, but then gives a error through the pop-up as we just saw. So yeah, that's all about the check audio interface handler, and this kind of a handler is always good to have, because if there is a new device in the market which does not support the audio player interface, then you don't want your code to break somewhere. In any case, you want your code to handle things in a very graceful manner, right? So this is the first step towards that. It just checks if the device supports it or not. Then if the device does support it, we come to the first handler, which is obviously the launch request handler. And what we do over here is simply in the launch request handler, we just we pull off the stream data from the list above, and we pick the first element of the list, which is the 0th element, and then we have the entire dictionary inside this stream variable. And what we are returning over here is what we need to have a look at. So we are returning a speak item which says starting followed by something, and over here it simply says starting Dabble radio. And apart, like, this is just a speech output. Apart from this, there is an add directive. So if you remember our last video, we used the add directive to add video directives. The approach is similar here. In this case, we'll be adding the audio directives. So the first directive that we need over here is the play directive. The play directive is used to give a play command to the audio player interface. So in this function, we need certain things. The first thing is we need to define the play behavior. Now the play behavior can be of several types. One of them is replace all. What replace all does is, suppose you were playing the Spotify skill before enabling your skill. So there would already be a playlist which would exist in the system, and if you say play or pause anytime, then that skill would pick up, and that data from the cache would pick up, and it would just start playing the audio or whatever. So what we need to make sure is we don't have any previous leftover data left in the cache. So that's the reason our behavior over here would be play all, replace all. And what replace all would do is it would just what it does, it replaces all the audio files which are there in the playlist and starts playing the file that we have provided immediately. That's what it does. There are also other methods, which is replace enqueued, or what I think what replace enqueued it does is that it replaces all the files in the playlist, but it doesn't it doesn't stop the file which is currently being played. But what replace all does is that if there is any file which is currently being played right now, in the music player, it would stop that, replace all of that, and start playing the new file that we have provided. So similar to this, we have several different kinds of play behaviors, which you can all, you can find all of this stuff in the documentation that I've provided in the description below, and that's the reason I've done that, so that you can go deeper into it. So yeah, the play behavior is used for that. Next, let's come to the audio item. And inside the audio item variable, we have defined we have called a function called the audio item function, and we've passed several. Basically, there are two parameters that we need to pass to audio item. The first one is stream, and the second one is metadata. So as it's quite clear by the name, that stream is responsible for the URL, the offset, and all of those things, and the metadata is just the name, the album art, and just the all of the metadata. So inside stream, what we need is the token, the URL, and the offset. Now the offset is a pretty interesting thing here. uh, what the offset is basically, if a song is say 5 minutes long, and if you want to start that song from 2 minutes, then how can you do that? So here is where the offset comes in. If it is set to 0, it starts the playback of the audio file from the beginning. But if you set it to, like, if the value is in milliseconds, so if you set it to 500, so I suppose it 500 milliseconds is 5 seconds or something, so it would just play from the 5 second onwards. So that's how it's done. It's pretty useful when you use the pause and the resume option, because when you pause a file, you really need to know where you've paused, so that the next time when the user says play, you resume from that point, right? So in that case, we will need to save the offset, and pull it back again, and use it to pass on to this audio item, so that it plays from that particular point or that particular offset. The next thing is the expected previous token. Again, this is also optional, but this you can just if you're using the next, previous, all of that, then the expected previous token just gives the audio player an idea if it's if the data is right or not. So just in the same order that your playlist is, you just you need to provide the token for the previous audio item as well. If you don't use it, just you can just feel free to delete this as well. So all of these things are optional. In the documentation, it actually shows that the URL is also optional, but I couldn't understand really how can the URL be optional, because if you don't pass it, what will actually the audio player play? So I really feel the URL is the only thing that you can't omit. Other than that, rest all of the things are optional. So if you just, for example, if you don't provide the offset, it would just pick up the offset from 0 itself. So now all of these things I've explained. We'll come to the most interesting part here, which actually doesn't which can surprise a few people, that we set the end of session as true. What it means is, as soon as this this function is executed and this response is sent back, it would stop the skill right there. So ideally, if you just pass on this value, the set should in session value, as true for any other variable, for any other intent, what simply happens is that the skill gives the speech output and the skill ends right there. So we usually use it for the stop function, or yeah, for the stop intent or stuff like that. But over here, the audio player uses it specifically to just stop the regular intents which were being executed and just start the audio player interface. So don't get confused by this over here. You really need this, because if you don't pass this, then it can cause some issues. Like the most interesting thing that I came across was that if I don't pass the student session as true, then when I invoke the skill, it doesn't show me the the music player buttons directly. It first shows me some odd kind of a skill related page itself. Like it shows me my skill logo, and it shows me the command that I've passed, like the card content. But that's really not how it should look. Like another example, if I give you, if like you're using the pause item, right? And if you give a pause command, then what happens is the screen should remain at at the same screen. So you should see the play pause button right there. But if you don't pass the student session over there, then you would see that the buttons simply disappear. As soon as you say pause, everything on the screen just disappears. So it took me a while to realize why that was happening. And then I had when I added the student session for the play pause and all of the other functions as well, then it was just running smoothly, that whenever I say pause, it pauses and nothing on the screen changes. So again, if you're facing such an issue, then just change this, add this value, and it would resolve your issue. Next we have here, what we have here is the resume intent, and this is simply for you can see that we are handling two intents here. One is the Amazon.resume intent, and the other one is playback controller.play command issued. So the first one is is for when you are using say for example, you're using the skill on Fire TV, and you issue a command with your remote, right? You just press the remote button to pause it. Then this command is is sent. In the same way, if you use the buttons on the screen device to play and pause, then again the playback controller takes over, and you don't get a regular Amazon dot pause intent or Amazon dot resume intent, but rather you get this playback controller dot play command issued or dot pause command issued instead. So for best execution of this skill on all platforms including Fire TV and Echo screen-based Echo devices, make sure you're handling the playback controller intents as well. So the request playback controller requests as well. Yeah. So nothing different over here. Down below it's just the same way we ran the launch request. We just played the file. Over here also we are just playing it. As you can see, it's a resume function, but we are keeping the offset as 0. The reason for that is that this is a radio skill. So a radio skill can't, it's a live stream, right? So it can't really be paused or played from a particular offset, because you can't really capture an offset. An offset can only be there if there is a 5-minute video, then you can say that I am at a 1-minute offset or I am at a 2-minute offset. Even in case of a live stream on YouTube, you can do that. But in case of these audio streams, if you simply pause the audio stream, you don't get an offset, or you can't continue from that particular point. What happens is when you click on the play button on the stream URL, then the stream directly gets started from the current live version wherever it is. So that's the reason we are keeping the offset as 0, because it doesn't really make a difference over here. Okay, so next is something really interesting. So before I go to all of that, I'll simply give you a small demo of what we are building right now. So now just give me a minute while I set up the demo for you guys. So I'm actually using my phone to connect it to Zoom and then show you. Okay. Give me another second. I'll just remove the chroma key so that the screen is better. Yeah, I think now you can see a small screen at the bottom, and that screen is for for the Alexa device. If you can see the Alexa device, just let me know. Just give me a thumbs up in the chat. And yeah, actually I can see it, so I think it's pretty visible. I'll go out and give it a command. If there is any issue, just let me know in the chat. Alexa, open template 3.
Starting Dabble Radio.
Avremo una panoramica di sconcertanti ritrovamenti e testimonianze di rilievo al riguardo.
Alexa,
Le grandi
pause. So here is what I want to show you, that it handles play pause pretty well, right? I'll again give it a play and pause command again. So you see it just disappeared from the screen. But even now, if I give it a command, Alexa, play, Alexa, Alexa, play.
Here's your story.
Alexa, stop, stop. Okay, something unexpected happening. Alexa, open template 3.
Starting Dabble Radio.
scintillava
Alexa,
come una fiamma.
next.
Sorry, we currently do not support this feature.
Alexa, stop. So yeah, I will just switch off the video. So yeah, as I just showed you, this is how the audio player, this functions on a device. So just give me a second to recap where I was. Okay, so the thing that I showed you over there is that at the beginning of the stream I showed you all the intents which are there, which we have to handle no matter what, like the loop on, loop off, shuffle on, shuffle off, and all of those intents. It doesn't really matter if you're using that, if you're using those intents or not, but we still need to handle them. And the reason for that is that when you try and get a skill into certification, then Amazon explicitly mentions in their certification emails that you need to you need to handle all of these required functions no matter what. So that's the reason, if you see over here, I have clubbed all of these intents into one particular intent. And if you say any of these commands like the next, previous, repeat, shuffle on, shuffle off, loop on, loop off, all of these commands, when you say them, then it reaches this unhandled intent function, and it gracefully handles it by simply giving just a small message saying that sorry, but these this function is currently not supported. Or you can also say sorry, but a radio does not support play, pause or play functionality. Any message that you think is suitable for that particular use case, you can give it out. But make sure that you do handle stuff in this way, because if you don't handle these intents, then it can definitely cause your skill to be rejected time and again. Till the time you don't handle it, your skill won't be approved. So okay, what else do I have to talk about? Okay, now we come to like rest of it is just generic code. So I'll not get into all of that. I'll just show you one other thing, which is the cancel or stop intent. So in the case of an audio player, when you say stop, cancel, pause, all of them are treated in the same way. So if you give a stop or a cancel command, then what the user is trying to do is they're just trying to pause whatever audio is being played right now. So we handle it in the same manner. And over here, if you see, then the directive we are using is a clear queue directive, and the behavior, like the play behavior above was replace all. Over here, the clear behavior is just clear all, which simply just clears the entire playlist, whatever it's there. Right. And the directive that we send over here is, is the stop directive. So it's the simplest directive. Nothing, no parameters, nothing at all. Just pass on the stop directive and the stream would simply stop. Right. Now there are some other intents that we have used here, like the playback started intent, the playback stopped intent, playback nearly finished intent, all of that. So all of those intents are actually required, and we do need to handle them because of certain specific reasons. Like whenever a playback is started, we just get some kind of a response from Alexa, and we just need to handle it. Nothing really serious to look deep into it over here. This is one interesting function that I didn't used to use before, which is the playback failed intent handler. So this is something which is always there in the documentation, but I thought it wasn't much important until again a client project kept failing due to some reasons, and then I added the playback failed intent handler over there. And by doing this, what it enables us to do is, if for some reason when Alexa is trying to start the stream, it fails for any reason whatsoever. There was a problem with the URL, with the server or anything, and it was just a temporary problem which just only happened that second. So you don't want to have a bad experience for the user. So what we do here is we simply try to run the stream again. Nothing, the same function scenario we use for play, we are using it over here again, just so that if the playback fails, then we try to push the same stream again. Okay, nothing else here that is pretty interesting. Now before I just conclude, I'll just take the last 2 or 3 minutes to tell you one important factor about this. So whenever you're building an audio player skill, and you are also using some other intents with the skill, then you would realize that once the audio player starts playing, you can't really invoke any other function or any other intent apart from the supported audio player functions. Like we saw the resume, pause, play, and all of that, they will work fine. But for example, like we have a about function over here, right? So if a stream is playing, and if I say tell me about this skill, which is one of the utterances of the about function, then it would not react to it. And the reason for that is that once the audio playback starts playing, the remember the student session is set to true. So I think because of that, no other intent can be handled. There are several hacks around it. So there are basically 3 ways to make other intents work. The first way is that they work in a one-shot utterance. So if I just say Alexa, open template 3 and tell me about the skill, so that about intent would then be triggered in this case, because the music player is not getting activated, and it gets called in one shot. And the other thing is that if I were to have any sort of a communication where I need other kind of inputs from the user, and I need the intents to handle things pretty well, so all I need to do is keep all of that stuff before the music playback. So before the music player takes over, you handle all the intents and have the communication with the user. These are the two basic ways in which you can do this. The third way is actually a hack, and the most interesting way that I found that we can do that. And what we do over there is, let's take this example. So you are building a skill which contains several different podcasts, or several different it's a skill which is a collection of several podcasts, right? So I have, for example, I have 10 podcasts which play on my skill. And what really happens is, when the user has finished listening to all the episodes of a particular podcast, say there were only 10 episodes in a podcast, right? So when the user has finished listening to the 10th one, and they say they've reached the last episode, then I don't want to lose control of the interaction, and I don't want the user to have a bad experience in which they have to first stop the audio playback, invoke the skill again, and then choose a new show or new podcast or whatever. So what can be done over there is uh, is is a thing using which, like, what we exactly need to do is, at the end of the 10th episode you can add another audio file which simply says uh, that say Alexa next to continue. And when the user would say next, in the next intent that we have, what we would do is we would have a check there that whether we have reached the end of the end of the episodes or not. So if in that check we see that this particular episode is the last episode of that podcast and there are no more episodes over there, and the user has said next, so that would not trigger the next episode, but rather that would give back the control to the skill and give a speech response to the user. So this is an interesting hack, because when I came across it, I was just shocked that how can this happen. But I'll tell you how it does, how it works. So when you say next in a normal circumstance, the audio player keeps running, right? So there no other functions work. But you can't give commands for other functions, for other custom intents, but your regular intents work. The regular music intents work, right? So next is the regular music intent, so that is why it gets detected without any issue. But as soon as in the check over there it checks that there is no other music stream to play, what it does is it gives a speech output, and due to it giving us a simple speech output and opening up the mic, it gives back the control to a normal interaction. So it doesn't remain what do you say, it doesn't remain a audio player interaction anymore. And I can't name it, but we've used this approach in a very famous skill, and that's how I came to know about it, because we were working directly with the team at Amazon, and that's when they told us that this is a way through which you can take back control from the audio player. And that's how we did that. So we took back control and then asked the user, okay, which show would you like to select next, and the user then selects the next show and the audio player takes over. So yeah, that was all from that from the stream. I hope you guys had a good time and got to learn something new today, because I really had a great time when I was building this skill initially. And we've come to the end of the stream, but we have a question from Harshit Sharma. And before that, Shubham says that was interesting. Thank you, Shubham. I know, yeah, personally it was very interesting for me when I came across this. Harshit asks, if I have three different intent and I invoke one intent and now want to hear more data from the same intent, how can I do this? Harshit, I didn't really actually get your question. See, if you have three different intents and you invoke one intent and now you want to hear more data from the same intent. See, ideally, if this were not a music player case, and you just want to keep on calling one intent again and again and hear different data, then you can have some kind of a flag over there, right? And in that flag, just correct me, or ask your question, reframe your question again in the chat if I'm getting this wrong. But if I understand it correctly, if you have one intent and you want to call that intent again and again but have different results, then ideally you'll need to have some kind of a flag check over there, a counter or something, that with if the user has said this thing before, then react in a different way. Or if the user comes for if they come for the repeat utterances, like a good example of this would be in the launch request. When building games, I usually use this strategy that I don't have just a single welcome message for the user. If the user is a repeat customer and if they're coming, for example, for the fifth time, then I acknowledge that and have a different welcome message for them, where I say, oh hey, you came here for the 5th time, thank you for using this skill again and again, so yeah, that's the approach we use in that case. So yeah, in that case, I use a counter. So I just keep on counting. When I see the user has come for the 5th time, I change my answer. I think you've rephrased it. You've said, I don't want the user to say the name of the intent again. I want the user to say, tell me more. Okay, okay. Now this is interesting. Now there can be several ways of doing this. The first and the most like simplest way I feel is, you can add tell me more as an utterance to the same, so to the same intent itself. But I believe that when you are asking this question, you're looking at a broader perspective where, say, you have three intents which contain 3 different questions, right? And if a user asked a question, they get an answer. If they want to know more about that particular thing, they can simply, you want them to simply say, tell me more, and get more information about it, right? So how you can do this is, you can make a intent called tell me more, and in that intent, in the session attributes, what you do is every intent that you hit, you just save it in the session attributes as the last intent, right? So every time you hit the tell me more intent, you just check what the last intent was, and then based on that, you have the follow-up part for that intent, right? For example, if someone asks who is the Prime Minister of India, then my regular answer of my intent would be, the Prime Minister of India is Narendra Modi. But if someone says, tell me more about him, like you say in your example, then I would hit the tell me more intent, and inside the tell me more intent, it would just it would see where it came from, like what the previous intent was, and then it would locate, okay, the previous intent was, who was the Prime Minister. So now it knows that what it has to follow up with, it has to tell it more about, right? So it has some kind of a context. So this is how you can ideally, if you want to build such an intent, where the tell me more intent is just the continuation for several other question intents. I think this is a very good way to go about that. I hope that answers your question. If that still doesn't, then I'll just show you where to find me. This is Twitter, and this is me on Twitter, which is, my username is @RahulYadav360. So if you have any other questions, yeah, if it's anything is unclear, if you have any other questions, then just feel free to ping me on Twitter, and I'll be happy to help you guys out. And yeah, thanks a lot for actually stopping by and asking such questions. That was really good. It helped me, just give my mind a go and just think at a deeper level. That was really cool. Thanks a lot, Harshit. Thanks for that question. And with that, again, we've reached the end of the stream, and I hope you guys enjoyed this session, because I really enjoyed it a lot. For the next session, I don't know what I'll be going with. I'll just give you a kind of an idea. It can either be another one of the audio player templates where I expand the features from here on, or I was actually thinking of going for some productivity based use cases. So I think I will be going for a Google Sheets integration with an Alexa skill. Let me know how that sounds, and if you what you guys would like to look forward in the coming streams. I think in integrating things with the Google Sheets and fetching data from Google Sheets would be really cool, because I've done it in the past, and it's really good for reporting. It helps, and if you're using it for some office work or something, like for a reporting dashboard, get information out of a reporting dashboard, then it really turns out to be a really interesting use case. So yeah, I think I most probably I would go for the Google Sheets integration in our next video. And till then, just keep dabbling, keep building stuff, keep using our templates. And if you have any questions, then feel free to reach out from to any of us at Dabble Labs, and we would be happy to help. Till then, it's goodbye from me. I'm signing off, and Tata. See you again.